right, let's get started. Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us from wherever it is you're joining us from today. For those of us who are new to these webinars, I'd like to take a minute to introduce our organization. World Trade Center Utah is a public-private partnership here in the state that helps accelerate growth for Utah companies through our global programs, services, and network. We're excited today to be talking about the STEP grant, which is a resource that companies here in the state can take advantage of to accelerate their global sales that will help to reimburse for certain expenses. To help us do that, I'm joined by a panel of experts who are going to discuss their experiences and how this grant works. I'd like to call them out here. Nicole Sherwood is joining us from World Trade Center, Utah, as is Kevin Robison from UltraSpire. Victoria Carpos from Marblecast, and as well as Mike Anderson from A Better Drill. We're also happy to have Shelby Dyack on the call today, who's the U.S. Commercial Service, the director of the U.S. Commercial Service Office here in the state of Utah. Each of us will take a minute through this webinar to tell you a bit about ourselves and also to tell our stories and share more about our services. I'm grateful for all the panelists for being able to take the time to join us and spend some time with you this morning. One group who couldn't make it to this webinar today, but really deserves our thanks, is the Utah SBA, the Small Business Administration. They are our key partner on the STEP grant and an amazing an office here in Utah who does a lot for small businesses. We're grateful for their partnership on this program. A few housekeeping items. We'll be hearing from each of the panelists in rapid succession today and try to save as much time as possible for Q&A. As questions come up, please use the Q&A function. You'll find it at the bottom of your screen, and type your questions in there. We'll save those questions till the end when we have time set aside for the panelists to answer questions about their experiences or the services that we're going to talk about today. So with no further ado, I'd like to turn the time over to Nicole. Nicole Sherwood is going to tell us more about the STEP grant, give us a broad overview of how it works, and we'll go from there. Thank you. Nicole, go ahead.
Great. Good morning, everyone. As Jim mentioned, my name is Nicole Sherwood, and I'm actually going to share my screen with you all. Great. So as Jim mentioned, my name is Nicole, and I'm actually the STEP project director here at World Trade Center, Utah. And today I'm going to let you know a little bit about the STEP grant and how it can actually help accelerate your global sales. So some of you are familiar with the STEP grant, others you're tuning in for the first time. So the STEP grant really is a grant that it provides financial support to help Utah small businesses who want to expand internationally. The businesses can use it for different activities. We break it out into 3 different groups. The first is we have state-led trade shows. So a small business can use it at an international trade show. The second is a international trade mission where we also do state-led ones, and we will be announcing that schedule a little later in the spring. And then the final one that I want to focus on, where a lot of the companies that you're going to hear from today have utilized, are our financial assistance awards, where you can use it for U.S. commercial service, where you'll hear from Shelby a little bit more about how the STEP grants can be used for that. Design of international marketing media, export-led trips if one of the international trade shows isn't for you, or a trade mission. You can use it to go to, I know Victoria, who you'll hear from a little bit later, used it to go to Greece. And then, or website optimization and translation. So those are where financial support can come in. And so one of our focus this year are on international trade shows and getting back out there. So this is our upcoming schedule. Our international trade shows, they do focus on sectors, but if you're a business in one of these sectors and are interested in any of these upcoming trade shows, please, the STEP grant can be used to help for the travel and help you be part of our booth. So here's our upcoming, most focus on the life science industry, composites, outdoor, technology, and aerospace. And just to show, our last trade show that we did go to was Arab Health back in June, and we are actually headed back to Arab Health 2022 in about the next 2 weeks. The one thing I did want to focus on, just because with COVID and everything, where companies can use the financial assistance awards. And so one is US Commercial Service. Another example is export research tool subscriptions to assist with any market research. One that a lot of companies have been using the last couple of years is really focusing on their website. So either translation, optimizing it, and a lot of that. Another one where UltraSpire will talk about is they've used the STEP grant the last couple of years for their design of international marketing media, which has been awesome. They've created a lot of great international marketing tools. And then the last one is independent trade shows, trade missions, and export-led trips. So now you're asking, okay, now great, I've heard what I can use the STEP grant for. Now, what are the next steps? Our applications are currently open on a rolling basis, and they will remain open until all funds are used, or until September 15th, 2022. And so if you go to our website, it will have an overview of the STEP grant application, making sure that your company is eligible, the eligible expenses that I went over, but they'll go into more detail. And then on our Apply Now tab, the application is right there. So you can click on it and apply right after this webinar. Just the reporting requirements, if you do receive the grant, my contact information, my email and whatnot, and then just some forms. So that's it for me, just a little bit about the STEP grant. And so now I will, turn it over. Yes.
Nicole, before we end your section, I think everyone who's new to the STEP grant on this call is probably curious as to how much the STEP grant will cover.
Yes.
Can you talk a little bit about how that works?
Yes, thanks, Jim, for bringing that up. So a business can actually receive up to $15,000 in a given year, and a lot of companies, they may use it for one activity, maybe receive an award for $5,000, and then maybe $10,000 to do their website optimization. So, but yeah, up to $15,000, which is a great opportunity. And what we ask for is, you go through an application process, and we ask for paperwork, surveys, because our goal really is to help you expand internationally.
Thank you, Nicole, for providing that overview. Nicole is your best source of truth on any STEP grant related questions. I suggest you reach out to her or put your questions in the Q&A function here in the chat. We want to spend the majority of our time today listening to the stories from some of our recent STEP awardees who have used this grant well. To start us off, we're going to hear from Kevin Robinson at UltraSpire. Kevin, will you introduce yourself and tell us a bit about how you've used the STEP grant and what impact it's had for you?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Jim. Appreciate it. Good morning, everyone. I was going to say, first off, I'll introduce myself quickly. My name is Kevin Robinson. I'm with UltraSpire. I'm the president and head of sales for the company. At UltraSpire, we do running accessories. So we focus on running hydration packs, mainly for ultra marathons. And then we do running lights. So we do waist lighting and headlamps and some visibility items for runners. As Nicole said, the STEP grant is really to help expand and grow the international business. And that's exactly what it's done for us. So I'm going to say I have some numbers pulled up here on my other screen that I want to share with you guys. First off, international is a massive part of our business. So we're actually in 30 different countries. 37% of all of our sales are done internationally. So it's definitely a big piece of our business. Running hydration vests and things like that are a lot more popular actually in Europe than they are here in the States, and a little bit more well-known there. So it's definitely a big piece of our puzzle. And then in 2021, and a lot of this is thanks to the STEP grant and the help of World Trade Center Utah, we experienced 30% international growth in 2021. And then actually as a business as a whole, we experienced 30% growth. So the international definitely followed suit on that as well, following the trend as our business as a whole. And that's even coming off of 2020, which, believe it or not, was actually our best year ever. So these gross numbers are coming off of our highest growth of all time. So 30% growth internationally, which has been huge. A thing that's helped us a lot too with the STEP grants, as Nicole talked about, is the trade shows. So we've been attending ISPO. For those of you who don't know, ISPO is the largest sports trade show in the entire world, held in Munich, Germany every year. It's absolutely massive. A ton of people come out to it, and it's really, really good to get that face to face. So because of ISPO, the countries that we have added is we now sell in Germany, Italy, Czech Republic, Switzerland, Guatemala, and Denmark. All of those came because of ISPO and having those distributors and walking into our booth and those appointments in that we were able to set up initially. But we're a small independently owned brand. So to go to something like ISPO, that's obviously a large expense. And so to have the opportunity to go and land those countries is really big. And it's paid off. Right now, Germany is actually our largest country outside of the US in terms of sales. So it obviously has helped our business exponentially. Looking at actually Germany's growth in 2021 compared to 2020, they actually grew 76% this year. So we wouldn't be landing that account had we not had the opportunity to obviously go to ISPO, meet them in person. Now on top of that too, granted we found some new accounts from ISPO, but then to be able to go back has been nice. And then have face-to-face meetings with the countries that we're already in. So I'm getting now face-to-face meetings too with my German distributor, with Italy, with Czech Republic, Switzerland, Guatemala, Denmark, but also too my distributor in Spain, Greece, Iceland, and the UK. All those people were able to meet and face-to-face and have those meetings. And there's big value in that, as we're able to dive into what they need in their countries, what assets they need, what we can do to help them grow, and then obviously then show the product line that we'll be offering for that upcoming season at that trade show. So ISPO's just been a massive part, and it's been awesome to be a part of it. And that's kind of been a good main source for us in our growth. As Nicole mentioned, another thing that we've done too are marketing materials. Again, being a small independently owned company, I mean, we stretch our dollar pretty thin and get creative with our marketing assets. But we've been able to do some beautiful video production with some of our products. So with 6 of our products, we've been able to actually now do some marketing assets and videos. For those products that we've done videos for, the average growth that we've seen in that product is 135%. So to be able to have that asset has just been massive for us to achieve a gross in each of those individual products. And then to give you an idea, I'm going to share my screen here, and I want to share with you guys one of the videos that we actually just recently did. We always do a long and a short version. So we always do like a 2 minute and 30-second version, and then we do like a 30-second version. So this is the 30-second version that I'll share with you guys now to give an idea of how we've used the grant funds for the media aspect. All right, so let me just share this video here. So that just gives you kind of a brief idea of some of the videos that we've been able to create for our products. So that one specifically was a category video. So that's featuring 3 of our larger pieces of our larger packs. And those category videos, we did one actually for a lighting category too, and that did really, really well and helped boost our lighting category. As you can see too, we don't do any words. You know, there's no talking, there's no dialogue, there's nothing like that, because we want to be able for all of our 30 countries to be able to use that in the way that they see necessary for each of their countries. So because of that, we're not adding any dialogue or anything in those, so that can be properly used for them. And those videos, like I said, it's been just a massive part of our growth, and yet average growth is 135% in each of those products. So That's a bit on UltraSpire. That's how we've been able to use those grant funds. And because of it, we've seen tremendous international growth.
Hey, Kevin, thanks so much. What a great video as well. Let's turn over to Victoria. Victoria, would you introduce yourself and tell us a bit about how you've used the STEP grant?
Can you hear me now? Okay,
Yes.
sorry. So again, my name is Victoria Karpos. I'm the co-owner, co-founder of Marblecast Products. We are mostly, or we like to mostly talk to the crowd about our name as being statues.com, because that we're very web focused. So all of our sales come from the internet, and we've been on the internet for 25 years. We are one of the first companies online when the internet started to have a source for someone to go to and order a custom made statue, and all of the production and manufacturing and it's done right here in Salt Lake City. So we're very proud of that. And working with the STEP grant has been amazing. This past year, 2 years now, we've seen incredible growth. We have really focused the use of the STEP grants in the financial assistance. We weren't able to travel in 2020 like most of us, so we did kind of focus that on the financial assistance. There was we wanted to really make our website international and be able to reach an international crowd. We've done great sales in the United States over the last 25 years, so we wanted to reach out to an international market. So we did utilize the funds for that. And if I can screen share, we'll do that now. Okay, so can everyone see our website here?
Yes.
Okay, so as I told you before, we're statues.com, and we create beautiful statues right here in Utah. We focus mainly on doing bronze sculptures and bonded marble. Bonded marble is the white, and the bronze is the metal sculptures that you would find in any outdoor monument. We have 3 basic services, which is sculpting, molding, and casting. And our clientele is in the United States, but it's now reaching international prestige. We have been able to expand our market into Africa, Europe, and Colombia. And so the STEP grant has helped us to translate our pages into Spanish, and we've been able to do a lot of SEO in Spanish. And so with that increase, we have seen a 226% increase in organic keywords. That's what the SEO financial assistance program with the STEP grant has helped us do. We've seen 100% increase in organic visitors, 100% increase in organic traffic overall in just 2021. And just like you, Kevin, we had an incredible year in 2020 and 2021, and we're hoping to increase that even more in 2022. We use the STEP grant to establish really good SEO with Spanish keywords. And so before the STEP grant, we were at about a 5% international exposure and sales. We weren't very focused on that. The STEP grant has helped us to increase that to 25% in 2020 and 2021. And with some new projects and ideas that we have brewing, we're expecting to increase that to 40% in 2022 and beyond. So I just wanted to share some of the projects that we have been doing in 20 and 21. This one here is a 7-foot tall statue of a Christian soldier that went to Sudan. It currently sits in Sudan. This right here is an 8-foot tall statue of King Mswati for the country of Eswatini, or some of us may know it as Swaziland. It is currently being finished. We're waiting for the clients to come here from Eswatini to get kind of one final live shot of it before we ship it out. And then I'll move over here to where we have 8.5-foot tall statues of Neo-Japanese warriors. This is a private individual who found us through our keyword and SEO optimization. And he has always wanted these Japanese warriors in his home. And so these are now getting finished right now and going over to Dubai. So this is just an example of some of the projects that we have done that are on the larger scale. We do a lot of smaller pieces too. So we do busts of people and their family members to help tribute that. And we have done several for the UK that we've shipped over, and several for Europe in general. So all those keywords and that SEO optimization has really boosted our sales for international trade. And then to highlight that, in 2020, we were chosen to be Google's to be chosen as one of the companies featured in Google Economic Impact Report for 2020. So that was super exciting to be able to be part of that. And then as far as, what the future plans are, Nicole mentioned that we did utilize some of the grant to go over to Greece. And this past summer, we did have some communication with a company there who does scanning and marble cutting. And we are able to now communicate with them, and we want to be going over there again this year to meet with them one-on-one and do a collaboration and business with them to actually cut stone. So here in the United States, we don't cut stone, we cast stone and we make marble. So 2.0 statues.com is now going to be able to cut actual marble, and we will be using the purest, is what we call white marble that the ancients used to build the Parthenon and to build all those beautiful statues there. We're going to be collaborating now with a company to offer cut marble stone. And this is one example here in this image where they've actually cut a relief for us. And so those are the kind of newest exciting things. I will stop sharing now. Yeah. So with the STEP grant, the team has been wonderful. I can't say enough about Nicole Sherwood, who helped us along the way in making sure we had our ducks in the row and to understand the program. I would highly recommend it to anyone who's looking for that global optimization of either their website or trade shows. So that's it for me. Thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you, Victoria. I love seeing the statues, and it's really a testament that there's really so much opportunity out there for all kinds of companies doing all kinds of things. You may not have thought of yourself as an exporter before, but you ought to work with us, the people on this, Shelby, myself, the people on this webinar to explore what opportunities are available for you. Mike, why don't you go ahead?
Great, thank you so much. My name is Mike Anderson, and I'm the Vice President of Operations for A Better Drill Incorporated. We manufacture and distribute a humanitarian invention called the Village Drill. Just a shout out to our team, we just recently won the Korean World Water Challenge. Our invention won the first prize as innovation for water products in the world. It was a pretty cool thing in December. Let me just get my screen shared here real quick. Sorry for the delay there. So just a little bit about what we do. We help people in developing countries find affordable access to clean drinking water. It's estimated that about 3.4 million people each year die as a result of scarce and contaminated water. It's a huge problem in the world. Millions of dollars a year are poured into digging deep water wells in developing countries, but the methods are very expensive and very ineffective. These big rig drilling trucks that you see all over Africa when you go to sub-Saharan Africa cost about $300,000 a piece. In addition to being expensive, they have very poor access to villages. They think about 70% of sub-Saharan Africa lives off of an improved road. And so these big rig trucks just simply can't reach those things. So we invented a process. That's kind of why we invented the Village Drill. It's an amazing technology that costs about 1/12 the cost of a big rig drilling truck. It's also portable. It's less expensive, and it can go to these remote villages and drill water wells in an incredible way. Kind of our record, I guess, is we took the Village Drill 3 days up the Congo River in a canoe to some very remote villages and drilled 18 water wells in that remote environment. So we have this great product, but so what, right? We have a great product. It solves a huge problem, but how do we spread the word? That's kind of where the STEP grant funding comes in for us. STEP grant funding helped our small manufacturing company expand our exports and literally helped us save thousands of lives. Even when you have a great product, expanding sales of that product in foreign markets can be challenging. You have to learn about government regulations. You have to ship product samples. You got to pay for staff to travel and meet with potential customers. It's all very, very expensive. In 2021, A Better Drill Inc. applied for STEP grant funding, which enabled us to take 2 sales trips to Kenya. Our grant award reimbursed us for some of the most common expenses we faced, including airfare, car rental, hotels, and meeting spaces, audiovisual as well. This valuable investment allowed us to strengthen existing relationships and develop powerful new relationships with government leaders, entrepreneurs, and our existing staff and clients. The results of these trips were tremendous for us. We're able to spend valuable time training local staff. We increased sales as a direct result of the trip. We developed new and exciting relationships that'll help us drive future growth. And most importantly, we're able to increase our capacity to deliver clean water to those in desperate need. It's not hyperbole when I say that STEP grant funding is literally helping A Better Drill save lives. All of us at A Better Drill want to say a big thank you to the Utah World Trade Center and the STEP grant funding program. Applying for the STEP grant was very, very easy. As a matter of fact, Nicole, you watch from my email, I've got your website up right now. I'm applying for another grant for this year. I'm about 80% done. It takes 15, 20 minutes to apply for the STEP grant. It's very, very easy, very intuitive. The reporting requirements at the end are very straightforward. What did you do? Where did you spend your money? What were the results? Very straightforward reporting, very easy. Most importantly, STEP grant funding allowed us to reach new clients and new markets. So a big thank you to all your team. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Appreciate that, and love what you're doing there. And you're one of the few people I think who was able to use the STEP grant to travel last year. But we hope that this year will be more of a we'll all have more of a chance to get out and travel again and meet with new buyers. At this point, I want to shift the tone. You've been hearing from a few of the companies that have utilized the STEP grant here in the last few years. Now I want to bring on Shelby Dyack, who I'll give a chance to introduce. She'll have a chance to introduce herself in a second. But the shift in tone here is you've heard about companies now who've done some great things with STEP grants. But how do you figure out what it is that you should do, where it is you should go? There are a number of options available to help you plan and prepare and execute a global market entry strategy. And Shelby Dyack and her team is one of the best resources that you'll have here in the state of Utah to be able to do that. So Shelby's going to talk to us a bit about the U.S. Commercial Service and what they can offer you in terms of developing an export strategy. Shelby, go ahead.
Great. Thank you so much, Jim. Here, I'm going to share my screen as well. Just make sure everybody can see it here. Okay. I am not a Zoom professional. Okay. Can everybody see my screen here? And give me a nod, the presenters. Perfect. Okay. As Jim mentioned, my name is Shelby Dyack, and I am the director of the U.S. Commercial Service office here in Utah. We are incredible partners with the World Trade Center. They've been partners from us from the very onset, great partners and colleagues. So thank you for having us in this presentation today. Before we get started, for those of you that are unfamiliar with the Commercial Service, I just want to give you a brief overview. And I know I only have 6 minutes, so I'm originally from Boston, so I have the tendency to talk fast. I'll try to talk at a reasonable speed here anyway. But the U.S. Commercial Service is the trade promotion arm of the U.S. Department of Commerce. We have a global network of offices and U.S. embassies and consulates worldwide. And our mission is to grow U.S. exports to increase U.S. jobs. And we do that through our services of export counseling, market intelligence, business matchmaking, and commercial diplomacy. I'll get into a little bit of that here. To start with, we work very closely with the World Trade Center in helping companies develop an export strategy and acting upon it. And I think that is one of the most important aspects of getting started in this journey here and using the STEP grant and utilizing these resources. So developing an export strategy We take companies, we help them find or do or conduct international background checks on potential partners. We do matchmaking opportunities, counseling with our offices overseas in the market so that companies are aware of market opportunities and barriers and anything that could come up that would be of interest or helpful to them in their expansion internationally. We help companies promote their product and service overseas or product or services overseas. We help with any kind of export regulations, guidance, compliance issues that companies may come across, everything from export administration regulations to CE mark, any kind of regulatory hurdles that companies may face. Finally, we do offer a lot of assistance at trade shows and trade events as well. And I'll get into all of this here in a little bit. First, one of the areas of expertise that we specialize in is market intelligence. And one of the areas that we offer a lot of support for companies in is an area we call country commercial guides. And these are resources available to all US companies, and they're available on our website. They're basically an in and out to everything you need to know for doing business in a foreign market, and they're free. So we have over 125 guides available on our website. I'm happy to send out that list or that link so that you can access them at your leisure. Very, very in-depth information there for companies that are compiled by our trade specialists in foreign embassies and consulates all over the world. We offer customized market intel as well. Which is exactly as it sounds. It's market intelligence specific to your company in a foreign market so that you can get a better idea of what kind of opportunities or hurdles may exist for you in going into that market. We charge for some of our services, and our service charges are classified by small to medium and large sized companies. We use the same standard that the SBA does. And if you do not have it already, either myself or someone from the World Trade Center team will send you the SBA size assessment tool to determine your company size. But generally speaking, a lot of Utah companies in this space fall under the small classification. Anyway, that's how we classify our prices. So I can answer any questions or help demystify that if anybody has any questions after the presentation. So customized market research there. The International Company Profile is an in-depth background check that we can do on potential partners that you may come across. So if you're working in a foreign market, somebody reaches out to you and says, hey, we're interested in doing business with you, but you just don't know the reputation of that company, or you're curious as to kind of what their background is in that foreign market. We can do that for you. And our offices worldwide are very, very, very adept at doing that information and that research to help you figure out whether or not this partner may be worthwhile for you to get into business with or not. And we offer two different flavors of this International Company Profile: a very full in-depth background check and a partial profile. And in many cases, a partial profile is just all a company needs in terms of making sure their business documentation is in check. They don't have any open lawsuits or anything like that in the foreign market. These are all things you want to find out before you get into business with a potential partner internationally. We offer one of our, probably our flagship areas of expertise is our business matchmaking services. And here we offer companies a whole kind of scope of different opportunities in order to find and recruit business partners or industry joint venture programs, anything overseas or internationally in foreign markets. And all of these, and I shouldn't mention this at the very beginning, but as Nicole mentioned, in that financial assistance category for the STEP, all of these can be covered under that. So any of these fees that you see here can certainly be covered by the STEP grant under that financial assistance category. And I'm trying to talk really fast to get through this, so I'm realizing I'm skimming over some really important details here. But these are our primary matchmaking services. Our initial market check is probably one of the more utilized services that we offer, especially during this pandemic. It's basically an initial assessment of a market and then interviews with up to 5 potential business partners in that market to rate your product and their interest in your product or service is high, moderate, or low. Many companies use that to determine whether or not they should proceed in that market or prioritize other markets over ones that they thought may have been a good priority for them at the onset. So this initial market check is a very great opportunity for companies just to dip their toes in and start to get a level of interest or litmus test in terms of some of the markets. Our Gold Key service, I highlighted it here because I'm going to say it was what we were most known for. Our Gold Key service is an opportunity for US companies to work with us in our foreign offices to help develop a meeting, a day or two of meetings in a foreign market. We'll work with a company from anywhere between 4 and 8 weeks in advance of their travel to a foreign market and put together a day of meetings with potential partners for that company in the market of their choice. Our specialists in those foreign markets will attend these meetings with the US company, meet with the potential partners, and work with the US company and help counsel them through what kind of opportunities may exist or what kind of issues they may want to know in terms of IPR or other things that may come up in these meetings. So this is a very customized opportunity for US companies to go overseas, have a schedule planned, meet with potential partners, and then get their questions answered by our embassy staff. I say was because over the past 2 years, unfortunately, as we all know, travel internationally is halted. And as a result, we've kind of gone more over to the International Partner Search, which is directly across from the Gold Key. The International Partner Search is very, very similar to the Gold Key service. We offer in-depth background checks on companies and eventually, and then a full report that lists potential partners in a foreign market with an overview of the principles and opportunities for that company within each of these potential partners. The company can then take that report and reach out to the individual companies on their own, or we can conduct virtual introductions and schedule meetings online through our Microsoft Teams platform, very similar to Zoom, where our specialists in those foreign markets will facilitate a meeting with the US company and then the potential international buyer. A single company promotion right above the International Partner Search here is exactly as it sounds. It's an opportunity to promote your product or service in a foreign market via a luncheon, reception, an embassy-led event, anything that would best suit your company and your company needs. So this is a very customized service as well. All of our services are incredibly customized to make sure that they are beneficial to you. We are able to think outside the government box in a lot of cases for companies to help them grow internationally. I know I'm coming close to my time, if not over it, so I'm going to fly through these next 2 slides here. Trade events. If you're traveling to a trade show, let us know. In many cases, every time the World Trade Center goes to a show, if we have services at that select show, we will help. We'll help support the companies there through one-on-one matchmaking appointments with our government staff that might be there. And our government staff ranges from all of our trade specialists or commercial officers that are traveling to that trade show from other markets to other government resources we may have on site. We do business-to-business matchmaking at some select shows, as well as networking receptions. And the networking receptions are often very unique at these types of trade events because we only allow international guests in. So you don't have any tire kickers or other companies that may not fall into your interest level at these types of international receptions. So you know that the folks in the room are there to hear and they're interested in your product or service. To the left side here, we have 2 commercial service-led programs. One is the Discover Global Markets event. It's a domestic business forum and that focuses on a specific industry sector or region of the world. At these business forums, we have conferences, panels on relevant topics or industry sectors in that region. We have business-to-business matchmaking appointments with buyers that we often recruit and bring into the Discover Global Markets event, as well as meetings with our one-on-one meetings with our staff that travel from all over the world to attend these events as well. TradeWinds is the largest US government-led trade mission. It happens annually. We do a big business development forum there as well, offer business-to-business matchmaking appointments, B2G, business-to-government appointments, and really help try to network and connect companies in a very specialized condensed way at these kinds of events as well. And for the Discover Global Markets and the TradeWinds, the STEP grant can cover registration into these events. And just our next TradeWinds coming up is in the Middle East. It's supposed to be happening in early March, so we're keeping our fingers crossed that it still goes through. And then our upcoming Discover Global Markets event will be in the fall. It'll be on Blue Tech in Rhode Island, so maybe not as applicable to Utah companies as other coastal states. Finally, just before we wrap up here, there's been a lot of talk about website optimization and website globalization. We have one service called the Website Globalization Review. It's a very inexpensive service, and it's a quick report to give you a quick background or understanding of how globalized or how international your website is. It doesn't fix all of your problems, but it offers solutions. It offers advice and opportunities for you to build upon your website to make sure that you are getting the international attention that you're striving for. As Victoria mentioned, that is a vital part to international success, especially for companies that are doing a lot of business to consumer sales over business to business sales. So this website globalization review is certainly a very, very exciting tool that we're able to offer companies in order to kickstart their international website overhauls, and especially important right now given these challenging times. Finally, I just want to touch on this very quickly. This is always a free service that we have, but we offer some commercial diplomacy. We have a whole office in Washington, D.C. that advocates on behalf of U.S. companies that are bidding on foreign public tenders. So foreign governments releasing procurement tender opportunities that U.S. companies could be bidding on. We have a whole office in Washington that advocates on behalf of those companies. That's all free, always. We have options to report trade barriers, non-tariff trade barriers, any kind of issues that you come across when you're doing business internationally, and trade dispute resolution cases as well. So please, if anything like that comes up, feel free to let us know. You have the US government behind you to help you get through that. Finally, wrapping up here, we have a team of 2 for the U.S. Commercial Service here in Utah, myself and my colleague Dan Bruner, and we're always happy to help however we can. So please feel free to reach out at any time. And again, I know I skimmed over everything. So if you have any questions or want to dive deeper into any of these services or topics, I'd be more than happy to do that at a later time. So Jim, thank you so much for the time, and we really appreciate our partnership and look forward to expanding STEP grant opportunities for Utah companies.
Thank you, Shelby. I can't emphasize the extent to which the U.S. Commercial Service is a critical partner for helping us at World Trade Center Utah to support the international growth of companies here. We work very closely on trade missions, trade shows, on a number of different items to support you and your businesses. I want to leave as much time as possible for, and one other thing. You can also go to export.gov. Shelby, I don't remember if you mentioned export.gov. There's such a rich portfolio of resources here. If you're interested in what the U.S. Commercial Service has to offer, please visit export.gov. And Shelby, if you can, why don't you post that in the chat so everyone can see it and look at it. With the time we have left, I'm going to steal a few minutes for the final word to talk a little bit about how global business services clients who are on this call ought to be thinking about utilizing a STEP grant. For those of you who aren't familiar with the services we offer at World Trade Center Utah, we offer a suite of complementary services to what the U.S. Commercial Services has to offer. In that they're not exactly they're not one for one the same services. We have our kind of set of phases that we like to go through, and oftentimes a company will work with both organizations when they're starting to really explore international opportunities. For those of you who don't know, Global Business Services is all about helping you get from A to Z, from I'm not exporting, or maybe I'm just starting to export but I don't have a strategy, all the way to I have a global strategy that I'm now executing on. In brief, it includes market selection work. So let us help you research, select, and prioritize international markets by understanding your business, your priorities, and helping you match those priorities and goals to international markets all over the world. And then, let's see here. Is this going to work for me? Oh. Then we have a phase 2, which is all about assessing global market entry strategies. Phase 2, or it's just we call launch, is about understanding the various options that you can take as you explore global markets. That can include working with distributors, setting up your own direct-to-consumer website and operations, finding a joint venture partner, even establishing your own entity in a market. We can help you to cost out and assess the opportunities and the various market entry modes that you might take. And then phase 3 landing is all about getting your boots on the ground and actually executing deals. That can include working with the U.S. Commercial Service, for example, to get some matchmaking done. It could include getting you on a trade mission to a market where you'll have the opportunity to open doors there that you wouldn't have been able to open if you would travel to that market on your own. It may include visiting trade shows or even just setting up your own travel with us to help you to land specific deals. Um, there are a number of ways you can engage with us, either kind of one for one if one service is interesting, or you can become a global services member of World Trade Center Utah to take advantage of all these premium services that we offer. I don't want to go into too much depth, except to say that where I find STEP is most valuable is on the execution phase. That if you're thinking about applying for a STEP grant, but if you haven't yet taken the time to work with myself or Shelby to research a market that you're interested in, to work to prioritize those markets and figure out which might make the most sense for you right now for your company, or to consider what the right global market entry strategy may be, or if you can still maintain your margins overseas or maintain a healthy margin overseas if you start shipping there now, then I would say that do that before you start getting deep into STEP grants. STEP grants are most valuable in my experience when it comes to getting your boots on the ground. It's most valuable when it comes to actually executing a strategy, building those marketing assets and distributing them, translating websites, visiting trade shows. That's where STEP is best. And so as you all consider how you could utilize STEP this year, I would, each of you should be thinking about talking to myself, to Shelby, to others around World Trade Center Utah or at the U.S. Commercial Service to really set yourself up for success and to avoid the kinds of pitfalls that a lot of companies run into when they start going international without support players, with their having their backs. So with that being said, I want to take as much time as possible for Q&A. I don't see any questions in the Q&A function, but the chat function seems to be very active at this point. I see a lot of links being sent, but I'm actually not seeing much in terms of questions here. Andrew Willis asked if Canada is included international. For those of you who aren't looking at the chat, yes. While we may refer to Canada as the 51st state, Canada is definitely not part of the United States yet. That's a bad joke on my part. And so yes, if you're thinking about selling into Canada, growing your sales in Canada, otherwise setting up operations there, then a STEP grant would likely be a good fit for you. We have the time left. Anyone have additional questions for us? I can think of a few, and maybe I'll get started. Here's one from. I apologize if I've got your name wrong. Kyle Adair. Kyle asks, "What if there is a conference or trade show that is internationally focused but located here in the United States?" Nicole, can you answer that question? I think the question is, can you attend if it's a U.S. show that has an international focus or international attendees?
Yes, so the STEP grant will actually cover that. And we've actually experienced that this last year, where if there's a trade show that you're interested in, I do recommend that you contact me first before applying, just to make sure that it is eligible for STEP. But yeah, we have moved in that direction where trade shows in the US are eligible, as long as there's an international focus with global buyers as well.
Thank you.
And Jim, there was one other question on the chat. One of the questions was, can a business receive a STEP grant more than once? And yes, you can if you're a business. So let's say you receive a STEP grant or you've received it last year, you can receive one this year as well as next year if we do get the STEP grant. So yes. And
to add on to that, I would say that you can apply for multiple STEP grants in a single year. The limit for the amount of funds you can be reimbursed for in a year is $15,000. So you could apply 3 different times and get 3 different awards and still not reach that $15,000 limit. And then year over year, your account resets, as it were, or you go back to zero. As long as you're still an eligible small business, right? At some point, you may grow to be too big, and oftentimes that it's a very generous standard, but it's happened as you grow. But as long as you're an eligible business, you can come back and apply year over year. I saw a few more notes here in the chat, and then I see a few people actually use the Q&A function itself. Mike suggested that we should talk about learning the requirements on what is needed to export goods. Oh, can you help with? I see. Yes, Mike, that's a great question. Mike asked if we can help with requirements on what is needed. The commercial service is a great source of information for this. Talk to Shelby as well as, go to those country commercial guides. Very in-depth reporting on the kinds of requirements that it's going to take for you to get there. If you find that's not answering your questions totally, then please talk to Shelby. You can also reach out to myself. Both of us have the capabilities to help you figure out exactly what the barriers are going to be for entering the Congo. Then let me swap over functions here and look at this chat. Let's see. Patsy Stoddard asked, how important are the in-person visits to other countries? I guess maybe to expound on that, Patsy, I'm assuming what you mean is it really critical that we visit people in person to get deals done, or is it possible to get virtual deals done with people and still maintain the kind of trust and relationships you want? And Shelby, I'm going to ask you to start, and then anyone else on the call who wants to join in, please do. But Shelby's seen a lot of these she's seen a lot of virtual deals get done lately, and I'd love for her to be able to talk about this.
Yeah, that's a great question, Patsy, because I think the answer to that question would have been very 2 or 3 years ago, maybe 3 years ago, and that a lot of countries valued that in-person connection and still do. And I think there's going to be a time here in the next year or two, hopefully, that shift changes again back to the in-person meetings. But having said that, there's been a lot of lessons learned in this virtual world that we've been living in. And this virtual meeting with the in-person videos and conversations has also kind of taken a priority in terms of growth internationally and creating personal relationships. But I will tell you that it is very important when you are meeting with international buyers or international partners that you turn your video on. It doesn't matter what time of day it is. I know I hate it at 6 o'clock in the morning or 10 o'clock at night, but it is what it is. It's that in-person connection and trying to be as close to somebody or get to know them as much as you can without being there in person. Having said that, yes, the in-person stuff is still very important. But the pandemic right now is just shifting the way business is done in foreign markets. So hopefully there is a return to that in the future. But again, businesses are just adapting, and the in-person is a little daunting right now. And so the virtual aspect has taken off quite considerably. And that has been my experience. I've had so many clients over the past 2 years compete and win deals internationally through this virtual platform that we're using right now.
Thank you. Any other of our panelists want to comment on that?
So I can speak to that a little bit. Yeah, we've added actually several countries during this digital time, we'll call it. And Shelby's absolutely right, where we can still win those deals, we can get those deals done. I agree, turning the video on, super important, because the thing that I do like about the in-person, it's just easier to get in a relationship. You're going to their headquarters, they're typically giving you a tour, you're seeing their business, you're getting a bit more of a feel of what they can actually achieve for you and for your business and representing you in this country and in this territory. So having the in-person is massive. That's one thing too that we love so much about ISPO. Then we can sit down with them. People can talk about their issues they have or what we want to achieve together. So that's where the trade show has just been massive for us, and having that in person and having kind of all those countries in one place too has been a massive benefit to have those in-person meetings. So I was going to say, so looking at the specific question. So I think it is really important to have those in-person meetings, but to Shelby's point, that's not to say that digital deals cannot be done, because we've been doing that too. I mean, again, I think she used the word, been adapting. That's exactly what we've done. We've been adapting. I mean, I've added distribution in South Korea, in Argentina, and in India. Right now, it's just not feasible to travel there. And so it's made it nice that we still have the ability to get those deals done. But, outdoor by ISPO coming up this summer, we look really, really, really forward to going back and to being in person and meeting with those people, because there is a lot of value there.
Thank you, Kevin. I appreciate that. I'm not seeing any other additional questions at this time. To get started working with us, I suggest that you reach out to Nicole, to myself, or to Shelby. If you have some interest in getting into the space, figuring out your export strategy, and then getting on the STEP grant. I also suggest you visit export.gov as well as WorldTradeCenterUtah.com, where you can find all the information about STEP grant eligibility, eligible uses, and whatever that may be. You can also apply for the STEP grant from the World Trade Center website. I'm glad you could all join today. Before we wrap up, I want to put in a plug for an event that World Trade Center is hosting. Let's see, that's on January 25th, I believe, in the morning. At 9 a.m., we're hosting Professor Jeremy Petronka from Duke. He's going to teach us about negotiating like a global leader and understanding global intelligence. It's going to be an important opportunity to hear from a thought leader on the subject of cultural intelligence around the world and how to utilize cultural intelligence to help you be a more successful business person. I would suggest all of you register now. It's going to be a great event. We're excited to be able to put it on. I think Rand's put a link to the registration page in the chat now. And so with that being said, I think we'll close this webinar today. Thank you everyone for joining. All our panelists, a special thank you to you, and we look forward to seeing you here soon next week or 2 weeks at the Petronka webinar. Thank you. Bye.